Hey Kids Allergy Network. So, for this interview, we got the chance to speak with Chicago Blackhawks defenseman Alex Vlasic, who has celiac disease and shares his experiences with celiac disease while competing as a professional athlete.
So I'm Xander Maxcy,
And I'm Ben O'Donnell.
and
And
we're Kids Allergy Network. We're a club at University of Chicago Lab School that deals with awareness of kids' allergies. So I guess can you start by just sharing your story about being diagnosed with celiac disease?
Yeah, so I was 13, I believe, at the time, and growing up my whole life, I was a huge gluten eater, I guess. Like I would love to eat bread, and um, it was my favorite food. And then one day, just after some Domino's pizza, the next day, my stomach was just killing me, and I didn't really know why. It took about like a week and a half or so to kind of do some different tests, and it ended up being pretty bad. I was in the hospital for a couple days. Just the pain was so bad. They had me on like morphine, and um, it was uh, it was pretty brutal. And then eventually they figured out, yeah, that I had celiac disease. I forget what my like blood cell count or whatever for like gluten. It was supposed to be like under 15, and mine was at like 160 or something. So obviously my body wasn't really tolerating it well, and um that was that, and yeah, the rest is history.
So I guess like kind of adding on that, like what are your symptoms like when you come into contact with gluten now?
um it's just kind of hard to explain. It kind of feels like your stomach is like cramping, like tied in like a knot, almost like super painful. Sometimes it's worse than others. Actually, recently, knock on wood, I haven't really had too many uh, close calls or anything like that. Nothing's really bothered me, but over the years, there's been a couple of times where I do eat some, and you don't really know until it's too late. And just yeah, there's nothing you can really do. You kind of have to ride it out and take some Advil, but it's a lot of just yeah, sitting there in pain. You're depending on how bad it is or how much you have. Sometimes you don't even know. For me, like every time I have had an incident, it's never really been something that I'm aware of. Like it just must have been in the food that I was eating, and um, yeah, it can be really painful just rolling around on the ground and paying for like an hour or so before it goes away.
so, like, kind of generally, what is it like, having celiac disease in the like NHL specifically? Like, where do you see that, like, having an effect on your career there?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the NHL, it's honestly as good as it gets. I rarely have any problems with getting food that I need to eat. Our team is especially good with our trainers and dietitians and everybody who's on board with making sure that things are labeled gluten free or not gluten free at breakfast, lunch, and dinners. And there's always a gluten free option provided. We've got a couple of guys with allergies on the team as well, so um, they've been super super good to me here. And yeah, fortunate enough, it really hasn't had too much of an effect on me and my play at all or my life. I kind of go about my every day, and um, they go far enough to pretty much make everything gluten free as well. So very rarely there'll be a meal where there's something that I can't eat. I think most of the time it's usually pretty allergy friendly, which is awesome.
Mhm. I guess kind of following up on that, like how is that different from when you were playing at Rockford in Boston, where there's just like less facilities? Like what was it like there?
Yeah, it was definitely tougher. Rockford was yeah, what wasn't easy. It was at home. They were really good at the rink, and the chefs there were very good about it. They obviously knew about my allergies, so they took it seriously. But when you're on the road, you never really know what you're getting at pregame meal or um, for breakfast in the morning on the road. You don't even get it. You kind of are on your own. So a lot of it is just kind of bringing your own little protein bars and stuff that you gotta fuel up on before you have like a morning skate or practice, which isn't ideal. Definitely, I lost a good amount of weight last year, and honestly, I think that was because of the fact that I just wasn't eating as much because of the what's the word, like gluten-free foods like not being accessible for me, which is nothing that they could have done differently. It's just the way that the budget works and everything. There's obviously more money involved with the NHL and with the Hawks. So, and then at BU, it was wasn't bad. We had a dining hall, and then there was a gluten-free station there, which is actually really nice. And most of the time, it was good. If I didn't eat at the dining hall, I was getting Chipotle or something like that that was nearby on campus, which is nice. And at BU is the campus is pretty much like right in the main downtown area, so there's quite a few restaurants that are there, and it was easy for me to find those options there.
Is there any time you've gotten like sick kind of close to a game or something and had to deal with that?
Yeah, so that was the first time I did like after that night that I had Domino's, I had to play a game the next day, and yeah, I just remember on the way to the game, I had to pull over and I tried to throw up. Like my stomach was just killing me, and um, that was the first experience with it. And then yeah, there's been a couple times where, usually on the road, where maybe something got mixed in, like a little cross contamination or something like that, and I don't really notice until a couple hours later after I've eaten it, and then something will hit me at the game time, and yeah, I'll just have to take a few Advil. And luckily enough, like at that time, it's not terrible because like you have a lot of adrenaline, you're kind of focused on the game rather than like sitting there just only focused on the pain. So that's honestly not a bad time for it to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You already kind of touched on this a little bit, but like, have you ever had any issues with like gaining weight or like maintaining a certain weight now being gluten free versus when you weren't?
Yeah, I mean, I think up until recently, honestly, like putting on weight has been pretty tough for me. I felt like I would eat a lot of food, and I don't know if that's necessarily because I am gluten free or not. If you're eating at home and you can kind of control what you can cook, and that it really uh, doesn't affect much. But yeah, it's just kind of when um, you're out of the driver's seat in terms of what you can cook and what you can have, and sometimes you got to just limit it to maybe like protein and some veggies as opposed to having a burger with like a bun or something like that.
Mhm. I guess also kind of like following your initial diagnosis, like did you see any difference like playing hockey specifically and like your energy levels and your performance and things like that?
No, not really. I think I don't know. I might have been too young at the time to honestly really realize. Like, I feel like now I'm a lot more like in tune with my body and would maybe notice something like that. But at the time, I was like 13, so I didn't really notice too much in terms of energy levels or anything. But I do know, I mean, quite a few people that go gluten free just because they feel like when they do eat gluten, it makes them feel a little bit sluggish and maybe a little bit more like tired and slow than they would off of it. So, um, but for me personally, no, I don't necessarily like. I mean, like I said, it kind of happened a while ago, so I didn't really notice too much of a switch up when I did make the change.
So like kind of moving on to like, what we do as a network, trying to like help other kids like who also have similar like dietary like restrictions. Like have you found any specific strategies or like resources that are helpful in like maintaining your condition while also being a competitive athlete?
I think the biggest thing that I've kind of learned growing up is just try to be vocal and like advocate for yourself when you are out to eat, or maybe you're on a team with a coaching staff and they order food or whatever, and it kind of sucks sometimes. I used to feel awkward at restaurants or speaking up for myself when I didn't really have any gluten-free food, and I would just kind of have a couple bars as opposed to a meal. And now I'm a lot better stuff, and I'll, if there's nothing for you to eat, or communicate that with whoever is in charge, and your allergy, obviously. You gotta be vocal with the waiters and like waitresses when you're ordering food, because um, that could be something that can come up for sure. Cross contamination or whatnot if you're not really specific. And sometimes I'll be annoying at a restaurant and kind of repeat myself just to let them know that I do have an allergy, so that you're not really suffering afterwards. And I think that's just what I've learned is the biggest thing. Um, I just think, yeah, like make sure you do enough like research. I think that was the a big thing for me when I found out that I was gluten free. Me and my family, we kind of read a lot about. They gave us a little pamphlet about what was gluten free and what's not, and especially with gluten, there's a lot of things that you wouldn't necessarily think have like wheat in it or gluten in it. Like soy sauce is one, for example, that's kind of random and a lot of people don't really realize. So um, I feel like little things like that, even just kind of educating other people, like it kind of happens along the way. A lot of my friends are pretty like knowledgeable now about gluten-free food just because of the fact that they've had to deal with me and hang out with me, and they know from experience just through me. So I think um, that's what I would say. I think obviously if you have I know there's like nut allergies that are pretty um, life or death. My girlfriend's brother has a nut allergy and his is pretty severe too. So it's scary in that sense. You obviously got to make sure that you're aware of that, and some people are more on top of it than others. But yeah, it's a lot of times something that can't really be messed around with at all. So it's very important to make sure that everybody knows when you're going out to eat or something like that.